There's a lot of interest these days in using psychometrics, but also a lot to think about if you're planning to introduce them into your organization. One of the first things to bear in mind is that there are two really different kinds of psychometrics. There are tests and then there are questionnaires. Psychometric tests are like other tests. They have right and wrong answers. They measure things like critical thinking skills, reasoning ability, numerical reasoning, verbal reasoning, and they can be really useful if you need to know something about somebody's problem-solving ability or anything else related to the person's intellectual skills. Psychometric questionnaires, on the other hand, look at a completely different area. So whereas the tests won't tell you anything about, for example, somebody's interpersonal skills, their motivation, psychometric questionnaires are very good for this. They don't have right and wrong answers, and a big mistake would be to look for an ideal profile, try and match somebody against an ideal profile for the job. Apart from anything else, if you got it right, you'd end up with a team of clones when everybody knows that diversity is what you need for a strong team. There are lots of other things to think about as well in using psychometrics. One of them is that you really need to be able to show that the results of your psychometric assessment are relevant to the role that you're recruiting for. No matter how good your psychometric measure, you'll be in trouble if you're using something that just isn't relevant for the role. Another thing to bear in mind is that you'll need to be suitably qualified if you're going to administer and interpret the tests yourself. The British Psychological Society in the UK acts as the regulatory body for psychometric assessment, and the individual test publishers also have their own requirements. And a final thing just to mention here is that you really need to be careful not to rely too heavily on your psychometric measures. You should really just incorporate them with other methods, interviews, exercises, and so on, so that you can really make a good, fair, and valid decision about the person you're assessing.